Good morning, everyone, and welcome to RVN TV's Entrepreneur State of Mind. Today, I don't have a guest with me. I'm Krista Smolda, as you probably know, but I have someone that is connecting with me from across the world, which, wow, okay, if you were an entrepreneur 30 years ago, you might not have had the ability to do this or to do business with someone that was across the world. But I'm so happy that I met this individual because just in the short time I've gotten to know her through a little bit of conversation, we are on the same path with the universe. And so I find it interesting that somehow she came to me, especially after what she does. Her name is Erika Laszlo, and she's the creator of SuperConscious Self-Coaching. Now, when you hear the word SuperConscious, it's deep, you know, and it takes a long time to understand how you can kind of change your conscience and how we are all universally connected. Some people will go, "Pah, you know, that doesn't make any sense to me." But Erika is a living example that she's able to do this. She's able to help people connect with other people and really create, make their dreams into realities. I think I haven't interviewed her fully yet, but Erika, I would like to welcome you to my show. Thank you so much from Budapest.
Thank you very much, Krista, for inviting me. And I'm really very excited and happy to be with you on this show. And I'm also very happy to hear that you are resonating with what I'm doing, you know, talking about the universe and things like that. Because I definitely believe in that we are, as you said, interconnected. And it is very, very important to be aware of it, actually.
Yes, self-awareness is key, and that's something that I've worked on over the past 6 years, and I feel I've gotten very good at that. And as a result, I've seen some big improvements in my life in different areas and in my family's life. So I'm thankful that I'm thankful that I was introduced to that. So let's go back to before you started SuperConscious Self-Coaching, and what were you doing before you decided to make, you know, this a business and become a full-time entrepreneur?
Well, you know, starting very early, I was, I think, about 13 or 14 years old when I was very interested in psychology. So I really read everything what I could at that time, which was not easy, you know, to find books or anything at that time, especially not in Hungary. So when I was older, I was having our first and only child very young, and he was 5 years old in the early 90s when he was diagnosed with lactose intolerance. And at that time, you know, there was, and still no cure for that. And I just couldn't believe, you know, that we are in the doorstep of the 21st century and we cannot cure some sort of a milk thing. That was only, you know, what I was thinking. And that was what led me to different alternative therapies, modalities, methods. I also learned communication, how to communicate to each other better. And as I learned so many things, I of course, even from my childhood, you know, I had some sort of a feeling that we are not alone, whether we can call it the universe, source, God, Buddha, Allah, whomever how they like to call it, it doesn't really matter. I always believed in some sort of a higher authority or something like that. But basically, that was my journey that has been started in the 90s, and then I became a financial director of a Hungarian little school, and after a time I just realized that, well, enough of it, and now I would really like to focus on healing other people. And that's how I started and joined an American and US based spiritual organization in which later I became an international master teacher and the vice president of that organization. And I, of course, learned a lot during these times. And I realized that although everybody has lots of problems, issues all over the world, no exception, but still, as I just pronounced, spiritual whatever I'm doing, they were, oh no, sorry, I just don't want to have it, and so on. And that basically made me think. That's how I started to make and start a different approach, into which I, of course, included my spiritual philosophy but it is not religion-based. It is totally free of everything. It's much more psychology, positive psychology, NLP, coaching. It is an integrated modality. So basically that's why I started, because I realized that the spiritual method I was doing was not global in that sense, that it was not accepted very well in the Asian culture where I was also teaching, because they have a totally different belief system, and it was just not a good fit. And as I am not religious myself, therefore for me it was basically easy to have a totally unreligious free something which still have, of course, my understanding of the universe, which now I think it's easier to understand than it was 20 or so years ago, because we know now that quantum physics has proven that we are one. We are actually one in the quantum field. We have an effect to each other. Therefore, it is very, very important how do we behave, what we do, how we think, how we feel, because we all put these energies into this quantum field.
Yes.
And then I resigned in 2015. I resigned from all of my duties in that spiritual organization. And basically we jumped very big with my husband and started SuperConscious World, which is the community or umbrella for SuperConscious self-coaching, which is the system what I've created.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So you basically going into that very first spiritual organization, that is where you basically, that was like your schooling, right? So the time that you spent there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a very big school for me in very many senses. Also in that sense, that what not to do in an international organization.
Yeah.
And that's a very big learning. Yes, absolutely. I'm very, very grateful for everything I've learned there. And I feel very lucky that I met these people, this method and everything. It really opened my eyes for many things and helped to create our community and international organization. And as a Hungarian myself, and my native language is Hungarian, I only learned English. Therefore, it was always obvious for me, that even if I write something or create something in Hungarian, it's nothing, because nobody else would be able to use it, just the Hungarians.
Yes.
But I always had this thought, so from the very beginning we started local, but thought global, as they say, in that sense that we created an internet-based translation software with which we can translate all the charts, what I've created for this SuperConscious self-coaching system. So now we have, for example, 11 languages, which I would say it's quite unique, and also in that sense it's very unique that it's on an iPad. So an iPad application, and my students or our students can have access to that, and that's the way how they use it.
Let's talk about your students. So you had to go through all of those years of, the first spiritual organization to get to where you are now, right? And
yes.
Where you are now, which is maybe 2 years or a year, how many years now? 4 years maybe?
Four.
Okay. And you started this online community. Now you have students. So are the students seeking you out because they need assistance? Are they organizations? Are they individual people? Talk about who your students are.
Well, usually they are individual people. Some of them, I would say many of them, already some sort of therapist. They are in the wellness industry. Some of them are psychologists, even, and so, yeah, of course, some of them are coaches, and some they come to learn it because they want to have because this is a system, a structure to all what they've already learned. Because as I have learned so many things during my life, there are all the others, out there who also have learned many things. But when you don't have a structure to everything what you learned, it's very difficult to use it in session form. That's also some sort of a motivation for me, to create my system, because sometimes when somebody left, and after that I realized that, oh my goodness, I forgot to tell this, or now I have this structured system, and this is what I can give also and teach to those people who are already working with their clients.
Gotcha.
And there are the other type of people.
1 minute, we have to take a break. I apologize, it's hard with the Skype, but we have to take a break. So if I'm hearing correctly, and we can talk about this when we get back, if I'm hearing correctly, you're saying these therapists, counselors, psychologists, whoever they are that are already currently working with people to help them, are tapping into your systems to, learn, maybe it's a higher level that can assist them in their downstream practice, correct?
Yes, absolutely. This is how I see.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about your business, SuperConscious Self-Coaching with Erika Laszlo. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Add us on social media to watch bloopers, behind the scenes footage, previews, and more.
RVN TV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVN TV shows monthly. We guarantee a great experience that you'll be sharing with everyone you know while increasing your personal and company's brand awareness. But what is your brand? According to Forbes, it's a combination of your logo, your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media, embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Welcome back to Entrepreneur State of Mind. I'm Krista Smolda, and I am connected today with someone all the way from Hungary in Budapest. Her name is Erika Laszlo, and we are talking all about her business that she owns. She's an entrepreneur, and this particular business she's been in for 4 years, and she's the creator of SuperConscious self-coaching. And we just got done talking about the types of individuals that you work with, which is one segment which we are dealing with maybe therapists or psychologists that are looking to, elevate their practice and learn more about quantum physics and all that involves, which honestly is quite complex, and it takes a while to absorb it. Would you agree with that, Erika, that it takes a while to kind of absorb and believe?
Oh, absolutely, I do. I do agree with you.
So you've got to kind of stay in it long enough to experience, what happens once you're kind of in that realm and you move those energy levels up. So you also work with individual people, and I know for me, my need to learn all of this stuff that you teach didn't come when I was working in my regular job. It was when I jumped into entrepreneurship that I really required this. So do you work with a lot of entrepreneurs to help them?
Yeah, I do, because I think, and I think they also think this, that as an entrepreneur, we really bump into so many challenges during a day. And yes, of course, we all have challenges. I also have challenges. But it's so good to have a tool, which is my system, to deal with all these challenges, what we have in our relationships, in our entrepreneur state of mind, as the show name is.
Yes.
And also, in every aspect of our life, we have challenges, and that's why I think they come to me to learn it. Sometimes for one-to-one sessions, there are some people who don't want to learn it, of course, because they see how accurate, how incredibly quickly this method is, especially if you compare it, to other coaching. I wouldn't even call them methods, because that is not really a method. It's a questioning, a different questioning process. But for example, how it is compared to psychology or anything else, because it's integrated. So in one session, basically, we can touch everything: psychology, coaching, in a way, spirituality, but it's not spiritual, as I already said, and even environmental issues or state of consciousness, which is absolutely obvious. We just talk about with you power versus force, that it is so important on what kind of consciousness level do we have. And for example, in an entrepreneurship, if somebody is an entrepreneur, they really have to have a very elevated mindset, or as I call it, a state of consciousness, with which they can create what they want. And most of the time that's the problem, that they are on a low consciousness level, creating from anger or pride or wherever, while it would be so much easier to create from joy or love or acceptance, for example. And in my system, it's also integrated. So we do have state of consciousness chart, and this is a very basic foundational chart, I would say, because that's how we create, and we need to be aware of it, that where am I, so then I can change it and to create it from a high level.
So if someone starts to engage with your systems, you're first going to teach them, I guess, where their level of consciousness is to start, correct?
Well, actually, yes. Usually they check it on the first day.
Okay.
First day on the class, they check it where they are. And it is unbelievable to see that on the fourth day, their level of consciousness is on a higher level.
Wow. Yeah, that is hard to do. And now, once they are, I think, when you're with them on a regular basis, that's great, right? Because you're able to kind of keep them in check. But when they flee the nest, so to speak, and leave you, do they have the tools and the things that they need to sort of stay there?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I love my system. Basically, everybody works with their SuperConscious aspect, how I call it. It's sort of like intuition. Mm-hmm. And it also raises the intuition in a way, because as more we practice it, the more it becomes stronger, actually. Mm-hmm. So they don't need me. That's why we have a very practical system, so they can bring it home with them, or they have it on their iPad.
Yes.
And that's why I love it much more than any motivational class, course, weekends, whatever, because they are great, they help really a lot, of course. But after a time, the motivation, the lift up, what has happened during that week or weekend or whatsoever, just gone. Mm-hmm. And then what do you do?
Right.
Well, that's why it's so much more fantastic, and this is how I feel it, that I really give them the practicality, the practical tool on an iPad that, okay, now you can go home and you have it. Sometimes we even call it, the life manual, mm-hmm. because really it's like that whenever you have a problem in your life, whatever can it be, relationship, your company, business, whatever, you just open it up and then you just realize what's going on in you and in your situation. As you realize it, it immediately changes, proven by quantum physics. And then what is really even more with this method is that it gives you also the positive side of the story. So we immediately change it to something positive. Yes. So you filling up with some positive feelings, energies, thoughts. Right. And we also change, if it's needed, any sort of limiting beliefs.
Yes,
so
limiting beliefs.
It's a whole new thing.
So I know you are unique also, and so everything you've told me is very unique, aside from, there's a lot of coaches out there, there's a lot of life coaches, there's a lot of people that are saying they're doing this and helping people, and I believe they're helping them, but not at the level that you're helping them, and not at the level in which you're actually impacting the universe, because I know for every one person that's able to raise their level of consciousness, a certain level is affecting 200,000 people in the universe, and it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. But you also offer something else, and we have to wrap in about 2 minutes, but you also give people the ability not just to learn from your teachings and just become better in general, but also become a SuperConscious self-coach themselves. Is that correct, by licensing your systems?
Yes.
Okay, can you talk briefly about that?
Yeah, actually, they can learn the system, and basically, in a very short time, I would say 1 to 3 months time, if somebody learns it, effectively, they can become a SuperConscious self-coach, or even, as I call it, mentor, because it's more like mentoring than just coaching. Because really, it is much more than just coaching.
Yes.
And they can become mentors immediately.
That's great. Now, was that always a part of the system, or is that something you incorporated a little later?
No, it was always part of the system. Since the very beginning, I had the idea, that I want to, teach people
Yes.
so that they can also
Yes.
bring it all over the world.
Yes.
Because I also have this maybe naive thought that I would really love to have a better world and,
Yes.
and a nicer one.
And by having other people do that work for you, you're multiplying your efforts and reaching more people
Absolutely.
in a shorter amount
Absolutely.
of time. That makes total
Yeah.
sense. Okay, so Erika, we have to end our interview. I could talk to you for hours, I know it, and maybe we will do that at another time. But for now,
Okay.
I would like you to tell people how they can find you, learn more about your business and SuperConscious self-coaching. So let us know.
Okay, thank you very much. So you can reach me at www.scc.world website. Through that website, everybody can reach us, and we are waiting for people who would like to help others, also themselves, with a method, a structured system, which is very easy to learn and fantastic and never boring to do.
Right. Okay.
so,
Thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing. I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and through separate parts of the world, we will continue to change the world. And I want to
thank you very much.
I want to leave the audience with one thought. Instead of going around and complaining or feeling as a victim, just be the change you want to see, and it will happen. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Everyday Elder Care.